Well, you know, around the 60s, there was the Black Panthers. And everyone, the media has billed the Black Panthers to be a radical group. The Black Panthers was individuals that got together to make sure that children had breakfast every morning, that they went to school, that the single parent mothers had what was necessary to raise her family, that they protected the community, because remember at that time there was also lynch mobs that was coming through our neighborhoods, kidnapping people and killing them. So they were our protectors. But then it got to the point where we were doing everything that was detrimental to what the system, I would say, was inducing into our communities. Then they became, they got, you had no choice but to rise up for protection. And then they went a direction that claimed to be militant. But their original purpose was to organize. I mean, even with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King got together because they was tired of the bus system. So they got together and they organized to do something about the bus system. Back also in that same time, during the 30s and 40s, it was the Nation of Islam. A lot of people negate reading and even learning about the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We were not getting adequate education or housing, so he united us. He took the least of us. The Nation of Islam was built with the pimps and the prostitutes. And he taught them, he civilized them, taught them how to clean their houses, take care of their children, how to conduct themselves in a righteous manner. And then we pooled our resources. We had schools from kindergarten to universities. We had our own housing. The houses that we lived in, we owned and we built. Our eateries was our own eateries. Our cleaners, we cleaned our own clothes. We would start shipping in product. That's why fish became, you know, the whiting fish, because the Nation of Islam imported fish in. We fed ourselves. We had farmland. We was an independent nation taking care of ourselves. I think we need to just not look at the surface of it. We need to go to the deep root of it. We're talking about a traumatic disorder, from my perspective, that we are so much other than ourselves. I have to come a cultural way because that's who I am. We are very much other than ourselves. The actions of our children, you know, self-destructing, the disrespect, the dysfunction of the family. It has been brewing for quite some time in our history here in America. So we had to go back to look at where we come from and where we are now. And we thought we have overcome. We went through the 60s when we really got back to say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. We went through those times of really recognizing who we are. We went through 30 years of desegregation here in Wilmington. And then now they said, oops, sorry, it didn't work. Well, we're the only species who allows their babies to leave their nest before they can walk. With the deseg of busting our children out of the community. We don't think that that affected our children and the parents of the children and the grandmothers, because it was 35 years we was almost under desegregation. We don't think that affected us. The inability, so without an adequate education, you're not prepared with the tools to do what's necessary to be a contributor to society. So our corner stores that we used to own, the entrepreneurship level was, that reduced. Our entrepreneurship reduced and the incarceration increased. Our graduation from high schools reduced and our incarceration increased. And now we're to the point of self-destruction. I hate myself and I look at you, you look just like me, so I'm gonna hate you too. There's just no reward, no knowledge of self to know the value of us. So what is the solution?
I think the danger in some of today's media is that we think we have a silver bullet to a very complex problem. If you remember the Hope Commission and organizations like that were birthed out of a need to try to fix some of the societal ills that we're encountering, I think they had the construct that was right, and that is to bring all of the organizations together, whether they were religious institutions, corporate institutions, nonprofit institutions, everybody together at the table to do what they did best. To the degree that we can have that happen again, I think we can have some advancements in solving some of the crime issues.
I definitely have, through my actions of calling for the Center for Disease Control, recognized that we have a mental problem. In our community, we don't deal with mental illness. We have this bipolar, we have depression, post-traumatic syndrome disorder, which is compounded we never get out of it. Our children haven't seen anything different. So what the lifestyles that they see for the 2 to 3 generations hasn't changed. We have to show them something different. And we haven't given back. We know, those of us in my generation, I know about the public schools, the after-school programs, the Walnut Street-wide activities. We keep saying our children have nothing to do, but we didn't make sure that those programs were still in place for our children to have. So I think our generation is just as responsible. We're responsible for our own self-destruction, and so we're going to be the solution.
This is a poverty issue. This is an economic issue. This is not, this is a matter of some of the personal development and lack of self-esteem for individuals that are perpetrating some of the crimes. But make no mistake about it, these are dangerous economic times. That there's terrorism against individuals economically. So when we talk about people that are robbing and stealing, a lot of it is not simply a matter of an individual that is just angry. Some of it is the result of people that don't have jobs, they don't have education. There's a lot and a complex issue that is at stake here. It's not just one silver bullet.
We have the resources among us, brother. We're the 9th richest spending nation in America, in America. 9th richest spending, not producing, spending. We wear the top brand of everything. We got the flyers, phones, flyers, cars. So we can't say we poor. We just don't know. We don't have the understanding of the science of economics. That's why very few of us in our communities have an economic development plan or a sustainability plan. We make a plan of how to do something, but we don't have an economic plan to support it. And if we want our neighborhoods not to have the activity that's going on, we need to do something else in place of that. If you don't want the parks to be full of the kids doing something bad, then go do something positive in the park. But, we were looking for this great white hope to come through and save the day. We will end up in self-destruction. Power to the people.